I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Melissa DeTora and our own Rich Hagan. We've got Corey Lerch playing against Oliver 2. Melissa, both of these players sitting at 8-1. You can't help but start thinking about a potential top 8, I think, coming into the building in the morning here, especially with an 8-1 record. Yeah.
I would really like to see this Titan Shift deck do well because one card that I'm really excited to see out of it is Renegade Rallier. So the Revolt mechanic is interesting in that it's way stronger in Modern than it is in Standard. Because in Modern you have fetch lands, you have things dying like very efficiently, cheap removal spells, that kind of thing. And in Standard, you can't turn on Revolt consistently. So when this mechanic was made, we knew that this is going to have some impact in Modern. Fatal Push is a great example of that. Fatal Push is a really strong Modern removal spell. Also strong in Standard, but it does way more in Modern than in Standard. So I had a feeling this card, Renegade Rallier, would show up. And we've seen it a little bit. Like, it was pretty fringe, but now that I'm seeing it 8-1 at a Grand Prix, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool matchup too, Melissa. Naya Titan Shift versus Mardu Pyromancer in the hands of Oliver 2.
Yeah, we saw a decent amount of Mardu Pyromancer yesterday, at least twice when I was in the booth. One time was Oliver 2.
Yeah, this, of course, is the deck that we've seen Jerry Thompson have great success with at the Pro Tour level. He kind of put it on the map. And it has stuck around. It seems to be a real deck and a popular choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Bedlam Reveler does a lot of work here.
Yeah, that's kind of the big finish for this Mardu Pyromancer deck. But in the meantime, it's able to put out most of its hand quite quickly. A lot of hand disruption spells, cards like Faithless Looting help it fill up the graveyard and find things. By the way, here's Bloodbraid Elf.
Yep,
hitting a search
Bloodbraid
for
Elf,
tomorrow.
Recently unbanned in Modern. I knew this would make a huge impact. If you asked me what do you think would make a bigger impact, Bloodbraid Elf or Jace, I would say definitely Bloodbraid Elf, and I think that has proven to be true.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Even though I think when the unban did happen, a lot of players were a little nervous about Jace. And I was like, I mean, I think Jace is fine, but I think Bloodbraid Elf is the one that's going to make a bigger impact.
And it absolutely has done that. We see it here in this Naya Titan Shift deck. Of course, Jund is Bloodbraid Elf's kind of natural home, but we've even seen it in a Humans deck. So lots of different spots. There's a Lightning Bolt to kill a Bloodbraid Elf, and that's why it's powerful right there. Oliver 2 has to use a removal spell to kill it, yet Corey Lerch also got a free search for tomorrow off of it. And, of course, anytime you're talking about Scape Shift decks, it's all about land drops. It's all about how many lands they can get on the battlefield and how quickly they can do it. And as you can see, Corey's already up to 5.
This Titan Shift deck can just win by playing lands, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of ramp decks late in the game, they draw their ramp spells, they draw extra lands because they're playing a really high land count, and they just have no chance of winning. But thanks to Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, every land drop is hugely impactful.
That is the name of the game. If you're ever seeing anybody that's playing one of these decks, you just simply have to look at how many lands they have. And wow, here's another Bloodbraid Elf into an Explore.
Wow, another card and more lands.
And let's see if Corey has additional land to play. No, just the one for the turn still. But still, that sets him up for maybe a Primeval Titan or something along those lines next turn. Well, we're getting there anyway.
Valakut Predator?
Rich has typed in Valakut.
Oh.
Ta-da! Yes.
Kind of worked his way down the list.
There it is. I recognize that art.
I was going to say, where did this card... Is this card in the deck?
Yeah, Valakut Invoker.
You're just like looking through the deck list
what
for
a great
Valakut
hit
Predator.
Off of Bloodbraid Elf.
The sick new tech in
This
Modern.
guy can be so big.
All right, what do we have here? A pair of Scape Shifts and a Primeval Titan? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yep. Things are not looking so good for Oliver here.
Yeah, Oliver's toast. I mean, Oliver at 14 life means that if there are 7 lands on the battlefield when Corey casts his Scape Shift, it's just game, as that represents 18 damage. And with 2 of them in his hand, he's going to get to keep at least 1 unless Oliver has a way to take away everything. And his backup plan's pretty nice, too, of just casting a Primeval Titan. That sets him up for probably 2 turns. He won't win that turn. He'll win the next turn instead. But what is Oliver going to do about it? He doesn't really have much going on here.
Yeah, exactly. Mardu Pyromancer's removal is usually in the form of Bolt and Fatal Push. They usually play a couple Dreadbores, but usually don't have a way to deal with a Primeval Titan.
Yeah.
So even if Oliver has double Thoughtseize here to remove the Scape Shifts, he's going to have a really hard time dealing with Primeval Titan.
All right, so I'm going to get rid of Primeval Titan, which is a start, I suppose.
Corey does need to draw 1 more land to be able to Scape Shift for lethal.
He does.
And there's 1 Scape Shift gone.
Well, so there is actually a window here where if he doesn't draw a land...
But
he
it
ripped
looks like
another
he drew a Primeval
Titan
Titan.
off the top of the library.
That's got to feel really bad for Oliver.
Corey is a beast here.
Thanks for ripping apart my hand, but look, I've got a library as well.
Oh
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of Corey's top decks were really good. Any land killed Oliver because Scape Shift would just do 18 with the 7 lands. And, I mean, most of his spells are relevant. He could have drawn Explore into land. He could have drawn Search for Tomorrow to get a forest into Scape Shift. So he had a lot of live draws there.
I'm actually starting to wonder what wasn't.
Yeah, that's a really good
An
question.
out for him,
What would
right?
be a bad
Like,
draw?
literal
Renegade
any
Rallier,
land.
maybe?
Yeah, Rallier wouldn't
Like
be great.
Sakura Tribe Elder would be game. Nahiri is not a strong draw.
But Bloodbraid's fine. It probably hits him the equivalent of a land. At any rate, he hit one of his nice ones, and Oliver
one of his
pack it
one
in.
of his 53 outs.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. If I'd known it was that high, I'd have done the real, like, what's on the top of the deck? But no. Corey Lerch leads 1-0 here on Good Morning Magic with Naya Titan Shift against the Rookie of the Year, Oliver 2, with Mardu Pyromancer. So Melissa's going to take a look at the sideboards in just a little bit. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell you what's coming up later on this round, and the answer to that is Robert Graves, who's at 7-2, so still has plenty of work to do if he's going to be in the top 8. Of course, they do at 7-2, but he is playing another Naya deck, but this time with Eldritch Evolution, and that's going to be our main Time Warp match for you. And then if we get a chance, we'll look at a drop in on a couple of the 9-0 players, Johnathan Sharp and Lirek Kulik, who is not had a top 8 before, made plenty of day 2s, very much looking to break through today. So we're into sideboard mode. Melissa, what's going on in the land of the extra 15 cards?
All right, so for Corey, there are 2 cards I'm looking at here. The first is Leyline of Sanctity, which can shut down cards like Thoughtseize, Collective Brutality, stuff like that out of Oliver. And the other card that I'm seeing that's kind of spicy is Obstinate Baloth. So let's say that your hand was ripped apart and you have this card left and he doesn't know about it, he casts Thoughtseize, and you just happen to have that. Well, that gets to come into play for free.
Yeah, that's a nice value bump. What does the game look like here where Oliver wins? Because we saw in that game, yeah, sure, that was a nice top deck from Corey, but as you pointed out, Melissa, he had a lot of draws that would win him the game on the spot, and his deck is very redundant. A lot of the cards do the same thing, just getting lands onto the battlefield, even though Oliver had a reasonable draw. I mean, he didn't have any pressure that game, but he tore apart his hand pretty well. What does it look like if Oliver wins one of these games?
I think Blood Moon is going to be a really important card for Oliver here.
Okay.
He's only running 2 copies, but Corey doesn't really have many ways to deal with a Resolved Blood Moon. That said,
you're right.
Corey still has lots of game. He can win with Primeval Titan, any of his creatures. Bloodbraid Elf is still a huge threat. He has a lot of counterplay to Blood Moon. He can't, like, remove it. He has a 1 of Reclamation Sage in his sideboard. Also a 1 of Kasali Pride Mage too, which he would probably consider bringing in because he does know that this deck tends to run Blood Moon.
Yeah. But, I mean, 2 outs in the whole...
Yeah, but he can't rely on killing Blood Moon, so
Right.
he's probably just going to have plan B, which is attack with my creatures, and also most of my creatures gain value.
Yeah, this deck does have an interesting mid-range component to it with the Bloodbraid Elves and the Renegade Ralliers, adding some amount of pressure to the board even if you don't end up doing the thing that the deck's designed to do with the Valakuts and stuff.
Right. Traditional Scapeshift decks play blue for cards like Remand and Cryptic Command, and just ways to find your Scapeshift, but their only plan is usually Scapeshift. This deck has a lot of plans, actually. Scapeshift is more like a plan B in this deck. Like, you can win with it if you draw it and you have 7 lands in play, but I think generally you're winning with Bloodbraid Elves and Primeval Titans.
This is going to be interesting to see if Oliver can piece together a win. And remember, he has to win back-to-back games to take this match and improve to 9-1.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see what Oliver sideboards in, because it looks like he doesn't really have a whole lot for this matchup. He needs a lot of pressure and ways to rip apart his opponent's hand, and his deck is kind of slow. He does have Goblin Rabblemaster that can provide a fast clock, so maybe he'll bring that in.
Melissa, where do you see Scapeshift in the sort of range of modern decks? Because it's been around forever. It basically doesn't change, although here we are with the light of that, because a Naya version. But fundamentally, it does the same thing. It potters along, puts some lands into play, then it goes, oh, look, this is Valakut, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, something like that, which sounds really unfair, and yet Scapeshift's kind of just sitting there as a fair deck, isn't it?
Well, Scapeshift I wouldn't really call a fair deck. It can play the game in a fair way, but it does have this auto win in Scapeshift. But I would say the deck is solidly tier 2. If I'm a modern player preparing for a Grand Prix, it would have to be on my radar.
Did that not sound to you like, Marshall, like one of the sickest daggers ever to a deck?
Just a
Let me tell you,
backhanded-
that thing is solidly
Yeah.
tier 2.
Tier 2.
Relentlessly below the power we
Hey,
want.
there's nothing wrong with being tier 2
Extra
in modern.
medium.
Wow.
Extra
Given
medium.
all the modern decks that exist,
Just dealing the beats
there are
out
like
here.
dozens
Wow.
and dozens of modern decks. To call a deck tier 2,
So you're saying there's a lot more tiers?
Oh,
I mean, I usually
Tears of
put-
Valakut. Let's get it
put
up
decks
on the
in 3
screen
tiers.
again.
Oh, no, Rich.
Oh, here we
There's
go.
tier
That's
1,
the
tier
one
2, and
Valakut card you
Fringe.
missed.
Yeah.
Wait,
Get
what's?
out. Get out. Get out.
He's-
Are we
he's
looking at a
showing-
card?
this
All right,
is
let's
what
see.
you
There's
did.
lots of
This is
tears
what
in
you
modern.
did. Yeah, you did
There
that.
we go.
What have I done?
Tears of Valakut players around the world.
Actually, I do think that's beautiful. Really great pun.
Thank you.
Come on now.
The tears
I
of
told you before
Valakut.
we came in here, do not encourage Rich at any point. That's rule number 1.
I didn't even do anything. I said a thing, and
That's
Rich
not-
is like, I got it.
Hey, to be fair, the thing you said was solidly tier 2. That's just,
Oh my
I heard the slap coming across. It's like, it's a good job decks can't actually hear us talk about them, isn't it? I mean, well. Anyway.
I think both players are taking a mulligan.
Yeah, looks like it. I'm sure Oliver will be happy about that. His deck doesn't mind being a little lower on cards with Bedlam Reveler to reload, and also probably amplifies his hand disruption spells a little bit.
Yeah, I would guess that Oliver's deck mulligans better than Corey's deck, but Corey does have card advantage with Renegade Rally or Bloodbraid Elf, so obviously a mulligan is bad, but it's not that bad. It's better than keeping a terrible 7. So from Corey, I think I see some Primeval Titans, and both players are keeping. I don't see a ley line, though.
He has 3 of them.
He does. Many players would consider ley lines a 4 or nothing card because they're so much stronger in your opening hand than any other time. So if you want to play it in your deck, you want to play 4 to maximize your chance of getting it in your opening hand.
Off to the races here for Oliver 2. He plays an untapped Blood Crypt into a Faithless Looting, so he's going to start looking for those key disruption spells right off the bat. He is going to be planning for the longer game. You see he has a Bedlam Reveler in his hand already, and is probably looking at how the next 2 to 3 turns play out, where he can empty out his hand and then finish with that Bedlam Reveler.
He also has a turn 2 Pyromancer, so he's going to have a pretty fast clock.
Here's Search for Tomorrow on Suspend from Corey Lerch, his best 1 drop.
Yep, definitely his best start, but his hand looks really slow this game. That looks like at least 1 Primeval Titan,
Yeah,
but
there's
he's
a
shuffling
Titan.
his cards a little too fast. I can't see what the other card is. Oh, it might be the Obstinate Bailoff. I'm not sure, though.
There it is, Young Pyromancer on turn 2. This can be a very quick clock if left unchecked.
So Corey doesn't have spot removal in his deck, really. He has 2 copies of Lightning Bolt and a little bit of removal in the sideboard, including Anger of the Gods. But he's going to have a hard time dealing with this Pyromancer. Ah, Scavenging Ooze was the card that he was shuffling around.
What do you make of Scavenging Ooze here?
It's actually really good against this deck.
Yeah.
It can turn off a Bedlam Reveler, just make it uncastable by removing all the instants and sorceries. This is probably why Oliver casts Faithless Looting here. He knows it's going away soon. Oliver may want to consider discarding his Bedlam Reveler here because with that Ooze in play, it's going to be really hard to cast.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that being the line of play.
It just depends whether or not Oliver has removal in hand for the Ooze. Looks like a couple of lands and a Collective Brutality in the hand with the Reveler. Scavenging Ooze was
Card's
from
perfect,
the first
by the
Commander decks.
Perfect card to me.
Yeah.
It's not broken, right? Nobody ever plays a Scavenging and goes, oh, well, the game's over. It's disruptive but costly. It has this nice ability to grow later in the game where you're not just stuck with the 2/2. But again, costing green mana specifically means that you can't just go off with it. It's not this like one-hit sweep of the graveyard. It's a little slower than that, but I like that about it.
It's also a viscerally horrifying marriage of card name and card art.
Yes.
I mean,
I just still don't know what that is.
Ooze is just a... Oh, it's just
gross,
a word that... No. Ah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Rich. Heebie-jeebies. Why are you talking about... Now I'm looking at the art and like...
Yeah, see?
Don't you have a button to like not have that
Yeah,
on
there we are.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want me Tears of Valakut again?
Yeah.
I'll bring that back.
I'm sure Valakut's still crying.
Solidly tier 2.
Remind me
Melissa
not to make
Datora.
Melissa mad at any
GP
point.
Hartford 2018.
She's like, you are aggressively medium, my friend.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Hey,
Melissa.
thanks for being not a deck of choice.
Hey,
We are literally putting words in your mouth here, so you can
there's
fight
nothing
back.
wrong with being tier 2 in Modern.
Man,
There's so many decks.
I so hope I never make you mad. You're just going to be like, Marshall, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with being just okay at your job.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Melissa.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better now.
Marshall, don't worry. You were in the top 3 in the booth all morning.
Wow. Good job, Marshall.
Yay. High fives all round in the
Yeah.
booth. Yay. There we go.
I'm awesome. Wait.
In case you're wondering, you're watching Good Morning Magic. Could it be anything else?
Yeah.
Corey Lerch against Oliver 2 here on GMM. Naya Titan Shift against Mardu Pyromancer.
Yeah. We're still in game number 2 here. First one went pretty cleanly to Corey. He was able to enact his game plan when Oliver, he had 6 mana on the battlefield, and when Oliver looked at his hand, it was 2 Scape Shifts and a Primeval Titan. Oliver was able to tear away the Primeval Titan in one of the Scape Shifts, forcing Corey Lerch to top deck, but he did.
And we were saying that the deck has so many live draws there. Like, there were only about 2 or 3 cards in the entire deck that would not have won him the game on the spot. On the other side, Oliver has quite the clock. I believe he has a Rabblemaster in hand.
Oh, that is supremely quick clock if that's the case. Oh, he's tapping 3 mana, Melissa. I think you had it. There
Yep,
it is.
there it
Goblin
is.
Rabblemaster. A card we've actually seen a bit yesterday, too. Doesn't see extensive play in Modern, but boy, that is a potent 3-drop. It's the kind of card where if you don't think your opponent's likely to have much removal for it, it is one of the quickest clocks you can get from a 3-mana card. And ends the game extremely quickly. But, of course, at 3 mana, only 2 toughness, it is a type of card that's a little fragile, so a lot of these decks don't main deck it. They want to make sure that it has a good chance of surviving because, again, if left unchecked, the game ends very quickly.
Right. And
And look at this. Hazaret the Fervent on the battlefield now for Oliver,
Nice.
too. Is this lethal?
it has to be.
It's
That's
gotta be,
so
right?
much damage.
I'll tell you what. If I'm Oliver, I'm not counting. You figure it out.
Even if it's not lethal, Corey would need to have Anger of the Gods and still have to deal with Hazard, which
Wow.
is he just won't be able to do.
That was a beating.
That was
is
great.
Game number 2 going to Oliver, too, who had a really great draw, right? I mean, he started things off with Faithless Looting right into Young Pyromancer. Then we got to see Oliver kind of change gears in the face of Scavenging Ooze, and instead of trying to play for the longer game where he could reload with Bedlam Reveler, he went aggro, and we saw him play Goblin Rabblemaster right into Hazaret with only one card left in his hand.
Right.
was
And
game.
as you can see, Corey reaching for a sideboard, he's probably saying, well, these Anger of the Gods have to come in. That was a beating if he hadn't sided them in already.
Yeah, he definitely wants those.
Yeah,
Hazaret.
only 2 removal spells in the entire main deck, which just makes his deck a pure combo deck. Just really no way to interact.
And that's not even a bad spot to be necessarily. The interesting part about the matchup here is that Oliver's deck is just capable enough of putting a clock on Corey that he has to respect it, but also capable enough of the hand disruption spells providing enough speed bumps to give Oliver enough time to actually get the threats going before Corey goes off. Because if left unchecked, I assume that Corey's deck is just much more consistent and much quicker at actually getting the kill on the battlefield.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. If both decks do their thing, they're both capable of killing quickly. I guess I would say Corey's deck is easier to interact against because it's more prone to hand disruption spells. But on the other hand, Oliver, his deck is more vulnerable to things like Anger of the Gods.
Yeah. I mean, I would just, I would guess that on average, Oliver's deck doesn't kill particularly quickly, right? It doesn't have any one drop that does damage. It does have Young Pyromancer, which is pretty quick, but even then, Young Pyromancer is not the type of clock where you're like, well, I'm dead in a turn, right? It still takes 3 or 4 turns before you actually die to it.
Yeah, but if Young Pyromancer is doing its thing, that means you're also casting cards like Thoughtseize and removal spells and
Yeah,
stuff
those
like
speed
that.
bumps
So
I
you're
mentioned.
interacting with the opponent and building up your board.
Yeah.
I don't know how you two do this. The last minute or so, you've been burbling away about who might win this matchup. You could have been staring at a dog on a psychedelic shirt.
Is that what you've been doing,
I'm,
Rich?
I'm just like, what is that shirt?
I don't know.
What is that? It's like, somebody turn it down.
Maybe that's Corey's dog.
It's Sunday morning.
Let's name him.
There's far too many colors on that shirt.
Melissa, what do you think that dog's name is?
Medium.
Tier 2? It's clearly a Tier 1 dog.
Is it a Tier 1 dog?
I think so. I think all dogs are Tier 1, though. I'm kind of a sucker.
Even when it's on this rainbow shirt?
Well, let's not blame the dog for its placement.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, here comes game number 3, featuring the dulcet tones of Marshall Sutcliffe and Melissa DeTora.
And a mulligan to kick things off here for Corey. Oliver looks like he's kept his hand, though. See if he has what it takes to get the job done. Chat says we're shirt shaming, Rich. How dare you?
Yeah, I am not one to talk. That is certainly fair.
They also say you're the MVP, so
well,
mixed messages here.
yeah, indeed. See, from that view, it's fine. It's just a little splash of color. It was the full-on 2-shot that was like, oh, my eyes.
Also, I've offended somebody who's a big fan of a big fan of golden retrievers and not Pomeranians.
Mere retrievers.
No, golden retriever.
Is that a dog on Mirrodin? I haven't checked the art on that. A mere retriever?
No, I don't think so.
Isn't it?
We should probably check.
I'm going to, Melissa. Oh, I'm going to.
Oh, Blood Moon drawn from Oliver. That's going to be a really important card this match. Ooh, Corey's hand is not good.
What is he working with here? A Sakura Tribe Elder and a
Well-
bunch of lands with the prime time?
Actually, not a Sakura Tribe Elder. That thing's gone, thanks to Inquisition of
Yeah.
Kozilek. So his hand is just a bunch of lands and uncastables. Wow, one Thoughtseize just takes over the whole game.
Still, we need to see pressure from Oliver, too, if he is going to get the job done. A young Pyromancer would do quite nicely here.
Wouldn't that just be great?
Yeah, that would be ideal, as he has bought himself a lot of time with that Thoughtseize, or excuse me, that Inquisition. No, he
but
doesn't have a
no
2-drop.
pressure.
Now, we know he has other cards next turn that could do it. I mentioned Goblin Rabblemaster before as being kind of a one-shot.
Another prime time was drawn.
Super.
That's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah, right now, Corey Lerch with no interactivity really in his deck, just a few cards out of the sideboard means he's kind of at Oliver 2's mercy. Oliver just needs to find some ways to get threats going on the battlefield and capitalize on the time that he's gained. If he can't, well, Corey's just going to march his way up to that Primeval Titan, and that's where Oliver is likely to lose. Sacred Foundry here for Oliver.
I imagine we'll see the Blood Moon here.
Nothing.
Whoa, nothing. Okay.
Nothing for Oliver.
Corey does have 2 fetch lands in play, so he is playing around Blood Moon regardless of if he knows he is or not. But let's see what he finds here. A mountain. Uh-oh, that Blood Moon's going to be trouble.
Yeah, this is a very reactive hand here from Oliver. He's got 2 Blood Moons in hand. Rich, that's the one you chose, really?
It was the top one on the list.
My goodness. It's not even accurate. He's playing the Dark Blood Moon.
And everyone in chat loves White Border.
Oh, God.
Everyone knows this.
By the way, here's Bloodbraid Elf that's going to get hit by a Koligon's Command. You got to figure that Oliver's kind of relieved to see a target for the Koligon's Command here. He'd pass a turn with nothing done. Now he gets to use up all of his mana. So he says, I'd like to do 2 damage to Bloodbraid Elf. You discard a card. Primeval Titan's going to hit the bin.
Yeah, and now since Sakura Tribuilder was hit off of Bloodbraid Elf, he's in a good position to cast Prime Time next turn.
Thoughtseize would be ideal here for Oliver to nab that Primeval Titan, but I think he didn't draw it.
Yeah, he drew Inquisition,
Awkward.
which isn't going to get any hits, so I wonder what he's going to do here. Blood Moon is way less of a good card here with that Sakura Tribuilder.
I mean, at least he doesn't die to Valakut's.
That's true, but he is going to have a 6/6 Trampler to deal with.
That's right, and the interesting part is that it's pretty harsh against Oliver. It would shut him off from white and black mana himself.
Right, yeah.
I mean, how does Oliver's deck do his Modern Red?
Yeah, that Blood Moon is
Mono-red.
very awkward. Oliver did not draw any fetch lands this game.
No, and he has a pair of Blood Moons in hand, too, so it's really not looking good. Oliver, interestingly, has drawn some sideboard cards here. 0 pressure, though, at all. And, of course, if all you do is sit here and try to disrupt your opponent, as Rich pointed out earlier, they still have that library, and they're going to draw stuff.
Yeah, this is one problem with Mardu Pyromancer. It does disrupt a lot, but if it can't provide a fast clock, you're just giving your opponent so much time to draw into their combo pieces or whatever they need.
I don't think Oliver's going to find his way out of this. He's going to whiff here, right? The Brixies here for Oliver. He doesn't look happy about it.
Right.
And is he just going to have to say go?
Yeah, I think he has to.
Oh, no. This is a disaster for Oliver, too. And Corey cannot wait to get that Sakura Tribuilder into the graveyard. Get a forest. Wow, he actually got a mountain.
Yeah, Corey is not thinking about Blood Moon here, but I don't think it matters all that much because Blood Moon just isn't a good play out of Oliver anyway due to it hurting himself. And also, Primeval Titan can just find more basics anyway.
Go get the other forest, yeah. And this is a huge swing in Corey Lerch's direction. He is going to go get a couple of lands. And he's already got a trigger on that Valakut. Another reason why Corey might want to go get that mountain. Again, like you said, not really thinking about Blood Moon and probably looking over at Oliver's mana base and saying, if you play a Blood Moon, I think I'm fine.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you going to do, double Lightning Bolt my Primeval Titan? That's not going to work. So this one's really, truly out of hand now if you're sitting in Oliver 2's seat. And Corey Lerch, he's got this one. I mean, there's no way Oliver gets out of this, right?
Yeah, how interesting that on turn 2, we saw a hand disruption spell show a hand of all lands in a Primeval Titan when he had 2 lands in play. And now, so many turns later, we see this.
Now, is that just Oliver being unlucky, Melissa, in broad terms? Like, if we sort of went back to turn 2, looked at that hand again of just land, and Primeval Titan, would the Mardu Pyromancer deck win the vast bulk of the games from there?
I wouldn't really say unlucky. I would say, I mean, he drew a decent amount of hate cards. I think he just was missing one piece, which is just the early drop, like Young Pyromancer or
Right.
Goblin Rabblemaster.
Yeah, if Oliver played Rabblemaster on turn 3, I think he would have won this game easily. But as it stands, he's not going to win this game.
And that'll put Naya Titan Shift to 9-1 with at least one loss to give. Almost certainly exactly one loss to give.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah.
You got a forest out of the deck.
Yeah, it's his other forest.
Has 2 main.
Yeah, he's got
Sakura.
2.
That Sakura Tribe Elder actually represents 6 damage.
No, it's all shut down, right?
Oh, I didn't even realize the Blood Moon hit the table.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
Oliver just said, well, I guess I'll play it. Like, didn't do much for him, but now he's going to play Young Pyromancer. But that might be the only thing he can play besides a Lightning Bolt out of his deck. And he may have to go for the desperation play here of bolt your Primeval Titan and then block with both the Pyromancer and the token.
Yep, that's a valid play.
Go down to 4 and cross your fingers. If he can make that work, and if Corey has nothing else, and if Oliver can find a basic swamp to actually cast some of his black spell, I mean, this is still desperation time, no doubt about it.
Yeah, but actually, I don't think it is. I believe Oliver has a Bedlam Reveler in hand. So
Okay.
So a Lightning Bolt is the 4th spell in the graveyard. So he just needs one more land to cast it.
Oh, baby. I'll tell you what, it's a little early in the morning, but I am ready for a monumental comeback on camera.
Yeah, we might actually see that. He just needs one land. Oh, another Primeval Titan. No,
No,
oh wait, no,
it's
that's
the Baloth.
That's the Baloth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still, Oliver should be at 5 life here. And that means that the Baloth is not lethal.
All right, let's see the land. I couldn't tell what
He did it!
was a land.
All right, Bedlam Reveler, get these cards I can't cast
Get rid of those
anyway.
uncastled. Draw the swamp.
And a Thoughtseize.
Drew the basic
A
swamp.
little awkward.
So I don't think Oliver's at 9, right? Because he did
No.
take trample damage last
He
turn.
should have, yeah. That's a Bloodbraid Elf. GG.
The other art Bloodbraid Elf. Oh.
Now he's forcing a chump block here. Welp. Let's see, block that. No, I guess he's not. I lied. He's not forcing a chump block. Oliver could go to 1. So he'll likely just attack with the Baloth, I suppose. Still, that was a pretty good one for Corey.
Yeah, do you just attack with Baloth here?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Oliver doesn't have a good block for it. There's no real reason to throw away the Bloodbraid.
Unless you just want to force the 4 damage through. But there's no reason to. You're pretty happy even if Oliver chump blocks with the Bedlam Reveler, because from Corey's side,
Yeah.
Oliver only has red mana in play.
Yeah, I
He
like
doesn't
that
know
attack.
that there's a swamp in hand.
Oliver realistically just has to take this damage anyway. So we had a flicker there, Melissa, of a possible comeback, but it looks like it has been extinguished.
Yeah, Corey drew really well after having nothing in hand. Faithless Looting. Faithless Looting is an amazing card for this deck
Definitely.
because it plays so many situational spells. Like Thoughtseize is terrible here. The second copy of Blood Moon is redundant, so Faithless Looting can just
Draw.
really
That-
like just sculpt your hand.
That's a super great point for someone who doesn't play it. I've never played Mardu Pyromancer, because we often talk about getting particular cards to the graveyard because they do something when they're there, and we don't often spend time talking about just getting rid of things you don't need that aren't as useful, that are situational, like you say. Yeah, top point.
Tier 1 or?
I think we should.
A tier 1 point.
That's what Rich said.
I didn't say that.
It's a quote. Rich Hagen, 28.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair.
So let's see what Oliver is drawing to here.
Yeah, what could he even have? Lightning Bolt to kill the Scavenging Ooze while Corey
Sure.
has no green mana available.
He also needs a Dreadbore. We know he has a Swamp,
He does have a Swamp, okay.
but does he have a Dreadbore? Oh, Collective
Collective
Brutality.
He has
Nice.
Collective Brutality,
Nice,
but
yeah.
he's still not in good shape.
No, he's not. He has to chump block.
Melissa
But
says it.
but he can draw a Dreadbore. He has an out.
Oh, man. What is Corey going to rip this time? How about Primeval Titan?
And he has another out as well. He can flashback Faithless Looting and pitch Lingering Souls into the graveyard and cast that.
There's the chump block. No play here from Corey.
All right, so we got this. Faithless Looting into Lingering Souls.
He's looking at his graveyard. He tapped a black mana.
Oh, he tapped the
He
black.
must have a lingering. Wait, I don't know. What is he doing?
I think he tapped the black because he's hoping to draw Bedlam Reveler. And maybe
Okay.
not thinking about Lingering Souls.
Oh, he looked at both so slow. Oliver, do it.
Is that a
So
Young
that's the-
Pyromancer? I can't tell what that is.
Maybe
Oh, it's another Faithless
Looting.
Looting.
Yeah, he's going to cast it, but now he knows.
Oh, there's the Bedlam
he doesn't have
Reveler.
any
No.
outs. And that's going to do it.
All right.
All right.
Look at Corey.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah, buddy. The big sigh of relief because he was stressing that one.
Good stuff. Corey Lerch goes to 9-1. Oliver 2 at 8-2. Still in the mix for the top 8, but at 9-1, you've still got that loss to give. So welcome back, Rich, alongside Marshall Sutcliffe and Melissa DeTora, bringing you all the action from Good Morning Magic, or just Good Magic, as it says behind you, because your head's in the way.
Good Magic.
Good Magic. There we are. Magic. Morning Magic. It's like, yeah. Anyway, we're going to have a quick break, and when we come back, it'll be time for more Magic action. We've got another terrific deck coming your way. It's going to be Naya again, but this time an evolution of Naya, Eldritch Evolution. We'll see you after the break. Oh, wait.
What? I know what you forgot.
What did I forget?
Card of the match.
Melissa,
Okay,
we
so,
need a card.
so I have a card. It's Primeval Titan, and that may seem obvious because
That
it
seems
kind of won the
obvious.
game in a way, but why I really want to take this card is because it doesn't get discarded to Inquisition of Kozilek, and that was like really important in that game 3.
There it is. Primeval Titan. Card of the match. Now can we have a break, Rashad? We can. All right. That was card of the round. That was the round. And as I said, when we come back, more Naya action with Eldritch Evolution. See you in a minute. Hello everyone, welcome back to Grand Prix Hartford. Rich, Marshall and Melissa here for at the back end of round number 10. We've got Time Walk action lined up. Now, it turned out that the Eldritch Evolution deck had a gargantuanly long game one. There's no way we can show you that. But we're going to catch up and get to game number 2, which is only about 10 minutes ago. So we should get all of the rest of the match for you. So let's go into game number 2. And Robert Graves with his Naya Evolution deck is 1-0 down to, oh, that's why it took half an hour, Jeskai Control.
That's right. I love this deck. And Jeskai Control, it's probably solidly tier 2, as we discussed before. It's not one of the decks that you see win
Solidly
GPs.
tier 2.
But still, it's a deck that kind of always exists in Modern. You do see it around. It has a slew of very powerful cards at its disposal and a relatively flexible game plan. So it doesn't go anywhere, but again, it's rarely the best possible deck. Playing up against Naya Evolution, kind of an interesting take here. Walk us through what this deck's trying to do. It's got a whole lot of stuff going on.
All right, it's doing a lot of things. So I would say its first game plan is to just be a mid-range beatdown deck with a toolbox kind of engine. So you can play Eldritch Evolution to just search for just whatever you happen to need at the time. And then its plan B is an infinite combo in Devoted Druid and Vizier of Remedies. So if you have both of these creatures in play, Vizier of Remedies says you can't have counters placed on your stuff. And Devoted Druid says put a counter, a -1/-1 counter on this to untap it. So since it doesn't get a counter in the first place, you can just untap this forever and get infinite green mana. And then once you have infinite green mana, you can play your Duskwatch Recruiter, which is a card that allows you to spend 3 mana, look at the top of your deck, find a creature. So you can just do that forever until you find your Walking Ballista. And of course, since you have infinite mana, at that point you can play that for 1,000,000 and just kill your opponent that way.
Arbitrarily large Walking Ballistas. Nice.
I'm interested. Serum Visions now for Simon. Both of these players at 7 and 2 here in round number 10, meaning no wiggle room. And that's something that doesn't necessarily come across on the camera this early in the day, because you think, oh, it's early, we're watching, nobody's top 8ing here. But one of these players will effectively be out of top 8, and they know that when they sit down, that they just don't have any room to give. But again, that doesn't always come through.
This Naya Evolution deck looks so hard to play against. It just does so many things.
A lot of value here, too.
Yeah, it just has a lot of one-ofs, so Simon is just not going to ever know what's coming. It has 4 Voice of Resurgence, which makes counterspells much weaker and provides a 2-for-1. It has a lot of search, like it has Eldritch Evolution and Court of Calling, so it has a lot of consistency. So whatever Robert needs, he can just pretty easily find. Magus of the Moon in the deck as well.
Another one of, or?
Another one of. Most of these are one-ofs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you say it's a hard deck to play against. Is it also, therefore, by its nature, a hard deck to play?
It is a hard deck to play. One thing that Modern has going for it is it's like, I call it a mastery format. You can be very good at Modern if you know your deck inside and out. And that's why we've seen players like Jacob Wilson and Sam Party do really well with the Birthing Pod decks of the past, because they were just so proficient at playing their deck. They just knew the deck so well. They always knew what card to search for.
Right, or Patrick Dickman with Splinter Twin, for example, or Alex Magleton, Frank Carson with Affinity, and yeah.
Right, so while this deck is probably really hard to play, I would expect that Robert Graves has played this deck a lot. Like, this is just the kind of deck that you just have to play a lot of to be good at it. So my guess is this is just his deck. He just plays it all the time.
Simon doing a good job here of keeping things relatively in check. Robert goes for end-step Restoration Angel. Simon has Cryptic Command to counter it and draw a card. Now, the way is open here for Simon, but as you see, there's Ancestral Vision on suspend with just 1 counter left, so Simon's set to draw a bunch of cards this turn.
Right,
Dust
Simon
Watch
also
Recruiter
plays...
for Robert.
Simon plays Supreme Verdict in his deck, but Robert Graves with the Selfless Spirit. Simon reads it. He's probably like, is my Supreme Verdict good? No, it's not.
But of course, this Jeskai deck also has access to all types of spot removal spells like Lightning Bolt, which you can see at the front of the hand there for Simon.
Right, there's a lot of things going on in Simon's hand right now.
Path
there's a
to
lot of
Exile,
options.
presumably, is in that list somewhere.
Oh, yeah. He's got 3 of those.
Yep.
He also has a pair of Electrolyzes, so spot removal Not short on that. There's Lightning Bolt to kill the Selfless Spirit. But this does mean that Simon's going to take 4 damage. And this incidental damage from these value creatures is starting to add up. Ooh, and there's a Ballista. I think we're going to see a Logic Knot for that. Now a Supreme Verdict would be Primo. If he has it.
Right, I thought I saw a Wrath of God in his hand.
Sure,
and it looks
works.
like he is playing that as a 1-of in his sideboard.
Oh, that might have been a Anger of the Gods that he just cast. It's a little bit off camera, but given the fact that he tapped 2 red and the generic mana and that the cards got exiled, I'm going to go ahead and just call it Anger.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, another interesting thing about this list as I'm looking at it, Simon plays Ancestral Vision in the sideboard, not even main deck.
Oh.
Yeah, this is game 2 with Simon up a game. It's also why you see Anger of the Gods here.
Is that, Melissa, do you think just because it's too slow for an average game 1 across the format? Is that
Yeah, I do think it's pretty terrible against a lot of decks. It's unplayable against combo decks. You can never resolve it fast enough against aggro decks. But this deck is just so slow and fair that Ancestral Vision is just great in this matchup.
And we see Simon perhaps riding it to victory here after having resolved it this game. And he's just had an answer for everything that Robert Graves has put on the battlefield thus far.
Also, I take back what I said about it being fair. It can have a fair game plan, but it does have some...
As he plays Vizier of
Right, it
Remedies.
does have some unfair elements as well.
Yeah. Oh, and here we go. Sphinx's Revelation.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
It's been a while since we've seen that one.
Hello.
So 3 life and 3 cards here for Simon. He, of course, as is customary, finds a Snapcaster Mage with Sphinx's Revelation, because it's never good enough just to do that once.
No, Simon is totally speeding up his play here.
To be fair, he's been fast from the get-go, having won a long game 1. I'm actually really impressed with his pace of play.
Well, he's going to map out his next couple of turns here by casting the Serum Visions. He finds perhaps a Lightning Helix on top and a land on bottom.
Simon right now is in a position where he knows he has this game because he's just way ahead on cards. His opponent just has a Noble Hierarch and a 2-1 in play, so not really much pressure. Simon has a lot of answers, so he can just make a couple mistakes this game and even still win, so that's probably why he's playing very fast. Let's see what Robert's up to. He just cracked a fetch but got the land tapped.
I think he's got a Renegade Rallier.
All right, that makes sense. Turn on that Revolt, find something out of the graveyard.
Get the old Rallier going here.
Wrong guard, Rollier.
There you go.
Simon is holding a Cryptic. Oh, and
A lot of cards.
he must have a Snapcaster in hand as well.
Yeah, he does. There it is. Snapcaster Mage, Cryptic Command, Counter Rallier, draw a card. And it was a Lightning Helix that he kept on top with the Serum Visions. Gets the turn passed back to him by Robert, who still has the board state that you described a minute ago, Melissa. Not too exciting, a 2-1 and a Noble Hierarch is really all he's put together. I'm sure the Vizier of Remedies is on Simon's radar as a potential combo piece, so he doesn't want to, randomly lose to that. But beyond that, it doesn't really do a whole lot.
Right, and I don't think he has a way to lose to it. He has a Cryptic in hand and a Lightning Helix.
Yeah, he should be fine.
Ooh, Court of Calling.
How about instant speed?
I mean, that's great, but it's going to get Cryptic.
And Robert just passes the turn back to Simon, who now is ticking down Ancestral Vision once again. Oh, no. It's come time to trade off for Snapcaster Mage. Definitely not where Robert wants to be.
Pretty
He's
soon,
gonna go
Simon.
for Chord.
Right, yep. That Colonnade is now a huge threat with all those lands in play.
That is the general late game strategy with these Jeskai decks. They point some number of burn spells, some number of Snapcaster hits, and some number of Colonnade hits at you, and you die.
I remember the old school Drago control decks from back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
The win condition was Stalking Stones.
Yep.
3/3 creature. It was a land, colorless land.
Activate for 6.
Yep, so typically you just counter everything. Finally, when the opponent doesn't have something, you go, okay, end of turn, tap 6 mana. My Stalking Stones is now a creature. Whoa, Kiki Jiki just got in there.
Just got in the red
it just
zone.
got in there.
Red zoned Kiki Jiki. I think Simon's at 9 now. There we go.
Yeah.
But TikTok on the Ancestral Vision. And there's no way that Robert steals this game, right?
No, the die is cast.
Yeah, it's just Simon just has to go through the motions here. He's going to draw 3 next turn. He might be out of counter spells, but I'm not sure if he used that Lightning Helix yet.
I've decided to opt out of talking for the rest of the round thanks to Rich there.
Oh, no, don't do that. No, please keep talking, Mark.
Too many
jealous
puns.
of Melissa because she doesn't even notice you anymore.
I know.
How can I have to concentrate on this game?
That's true.
It's so exciting.
To be honest, there's not much exciting left going on here, Melissa.
I disagree.
We
There's
haven't-
an Ancestral Visions on 1 counter. That's very exciting.
It's not that exciting.
Oh, I totally disagree. He's going to draw so many Lightning Helixes.
Yeah.
It's Sunday morning Grumpy Marshall.
I blame you, Rich.
There's also a Search for Azcanta in play.
Nope. You're still not getting me. Now, if you show me Robert win this game, now I'm excited. That's exciting. Because
Okay,
Simon's been in the...
Rashad, could you play the tape where Robert Graves wins this game, please? That'd be great.
we
Whoa,
haven't...
He drew Snapcaster, Lightning Helix. He drew 3 spells.
He's also transforming Surge.
It's WWE MTG. It's where we can choose who wins every round. You know, choose your own adventure. And it's like,
All right, Keranos is kind of exciting, Melissa. You're starting to convince me.
That's the least exciting card.
Wait a minute, what? Have you read it?
Have you seen Search for Azcanta?
Yeah. He didn't even transform it somehow. Maybe it was too late. I saw Robert kind of point at something. But at any rate,
yeah, I believe
down
what
to 7.
happened was he... Oh, I know what happened. So
what happened?
Simon was so excited that the Ancestral Vision resolved that he just drew 3 cards and then drew another card for his turn,
Yeah.
which meant that he missed the Search for Azcanta trigger and the other Ancestral Vision trigger.
You are correct.
But to be fair, who can't be excited
It's
to
a-
draw all those cards?
yeah, it's a big problem to have, isn't it? Oh, Robert, I'm sorry. I was so excited at the 4 extra cards I was going to draw
that is so
that I only drew 3 extra cards.
so funny. Melissa, the only person more excited than you about that Ancestral Vision was Simon Dye, apparently. Oh, man.
Yeah, again, like I was saying
It
before,
does show evidence to your side, though, doesn't it?
this game was over 5 or 6 turns ago.
Right.
But Simon was just kind of going through the motions, and he could have made like 3 or 4 mistakes and still won the game.
Yes.
That was the part that I was talking about, by the way. The fact that even if he just literally forgot about both Ancestral Vision, he probably just wins that
Right.
game easily.
Right.
Which is why I wasn't like super stoked, but
That's all right. You've still got time to be super stoked. I tell you what, it turns out that there's still 1 match going out on the floor there somewhere, which means, conveniently enough, we can show even more bonus magic.
Hey, I like
so
that.
why don't we go for the opening of our 3rd match, and we'll just see what we can bring you until it's time for the next round to start. So we're going to go into one of our 9-0 matchups. So let's head down to the floor. This is going to be Johnathan Sharp against Lirek Kulik. They are both, as I say, at 9-0. So we'll head down and see what we can bring you. Here we go. And we're just underway.
look at
obviously,
this matchup.
We've had like 2 turns, so there's 58 permanents, of course.
Both of these decks, of course, are very quick to get their permanents onto the battlefield, specifically Affinity, but even the Boggles deck, Bagels, if you will, very quick to dump the hand, as most of the cards cost 1 mana. Ooh, we came at a good time, didn't we,
Cranial
Melissa?
plating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that Boggles seems favored mostly because of Daybreak Coronet and it just gains way too much life. But Cranial Plating is a card that can swing the deck into the affinity player's favor.
Last result has just come in, so what we're going to do is we're going to speed things up just a little bit to get you through game 1.
Where's Maria when you need her, by the way?
She's here.
Oh, because of Boggles?
She's probably in the back room going, thank you.
She's probably cheering.
Loves the Boggles.
9-0.
There are a lot of Boggles players. A lot.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it did win a GP.
It was,
it won the last modern GP, so that makes sense.
Yeah, not joking. On the basis of the metagame, it looked like a legitimate tier 1 choice.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Just not.
No, totally.
This is my fringe deck. This is what's winning at the moment. This is really good. I can play this. It's a pretty single-minded.
Guess who disappeared?
You,
All of a sudden, Maria showed up out of nowhere to cheer on her Boggy
she's
boys.
just pointing at the 9-0.
She's literally pointed at our monitor we use for commentary, and now she's disappeared again.
You see, now I know I got some flack for complaining about the shirt on the left of screen, but I think that purple shirt on the left is looking sharp.
Oh, got it.
You're not supposed to
Melissa,
do that, Melissa.
I told you, Melissa. you had one job. Don't encourage him. Oh, man. We're done for.
Well, we're almost done for the round. That is true.
That is, yeah.
Because we're
not what I meant, but that
that
does
is
happen to be
factually
true.
accurate. Yes.
Now, is Lirek actually going to be able to race here? Because the one key piece of the puzzle on John's side that we don't see is a Daybreak Coronet. Right? That's the way that he can win races like these, because Lirek has 2 Vault Scourges going. Is that a Spider Umbra that gives it?
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And I believe that there's a Hyena Umbra as well, meaning that first strike will just kill.
Yes.
Wow.
And the first strike killing the Vault Scourge also reduces the power of the other Vault Scourge because of first strike.
Uh-huh.
So
I think that might have been a Path to Exile drawn off the top of the library there for John Sharp. Oh, yeah, rubbing the hands together.
Oh, wow.
We're in business.
Wow.
The Boggies aren't done yet.
Attack with the 1/1.
No, it's got Vigilance, right?
Yeah.
Trade it off
Free
for the
attack.
Midnight, no problem.
They are also available online at my.cfb.
This is getting very interesting.
You can check those from the convenience of their smartphone.
Now, this is also the time when I'll usually look to see if the Affinity player has access to 2 black mana, but they don't.
Right.
So it's going to have to be an equip and an activation of Blinkmoth Nexus and attack with everything, but I think Path actually does save him here, right?
Yeah, and Path just totally swings the game,
or does it
too.
actually not? Block 1,
well, he has no way
one,
to
take 2.
He has no way to move. Oh, wait. Let's see.
This looks
Yeah.
lethal.
Yeah, it looked like he had to play Path before attacks to kill the Signal Pest, right?
Yes.
Because the battle cry mattered a lot there.
Because that is still a 2/2 Blinkmoth Nexus.
It is.
Oops.
Yeah, that's still 2.
Take 2.
Unless we're missing something.
I'm seeing
Oh,
it like,
yep,
oh,
yep.
no.
All right. All right. So we are not going to get to show you more of this. As you can see in the background, players are getting seated for our next round, which means we need to get Maria and JVL into these seats here for the last round of Good Morning Magic. So we'll do that. We'll swap ourselves around, and we'll be right back with round number 11 of Grand Prix Hartford.